at 9. Cervical cancer, breast cancer, and skin cancer. I've had each 3 times. The last time was in the mid-2000s. And I was in one of the worst places, emotionally, physically, financially, all of that in my life. I had lost my car, my transportation. I didn't understand my mission. I was struggling with my relationship. I wasn't working in community. I wasn't balancing my life at all. And I stayed at work one day and worked a little bit later than I normally did, and that was fear. Because I got on the train and I sat down next to my computer. And this is my normal size. I think I was weighing 140 pounds at the time. And I sat down I stood next to her on the train, and my skin was ashen. My hair was falling out. My stomach was unsettled. All the energy I had given at work. And all I was trying to do was make it to my bus and make it home to lay down. And God said, "Renee, come on." And we talked. She gave me her business card. And I got home, and I was 2 weeks of calling myself. So I gave the card to my aunt. And I gave the card to my aunt, and my aunt called her and said, "I have a niece that's dying. Thank you. They had given me 6 months to live." She said, "I have a niece that's dying." And you gave her a card on the train. I think we got out there either Camden Park or Edgewood. Edgewood.
Oh my God.
And my aunt went and she got the tonics and she got everything that I needed. And I was at the point where the doctors had said, "There's nothing else that we can do for you, but maybe put you in hospice to keep you comfortable." And my aunt came back with a box. And I was like, "I can't take that alone." And she was like, "Don't worry." She told me everything you're supposed to take, when you're supposed to take it, what days you're supposed to take it, what time you're supposed to get it, all of that. That was 12 years ago.
Oh my God.
12 years ago, when I was supposed to be dead in 6 months. So after that, I really, that was the divine 9, last time my body was ever sick. And what people don't understand about cancer is the reason they say that there is no cure is because what it is a system that your body learns to create cells that will attack the body. And once your body learns how to do that, according to them, it doesn't unlearn how to do that. 12 years later, my body has not been interested in creating those cells.
No, you don't.
But 12 years later, I still am conscious of what I put in my mouth. And more importantly, I'm more conscious of what I put in my spirit. And what I allow in my space. And because God knew that this journey He was going to send me on was going to have me in my strongest self. And what I realized when I stepped out of ego was that it wasn't that I wasn't supposed to come back this time and be a warrior again. It's just I was supposed to work a little smarter this time. And that it was going to have to take me stepping outside of ego and understanding that I have to have balance, that I have to walk in love, and that my mission has to be purposeful, and the purpose can have nothing to do with self. One of my greatest inspirations, a person, an ancestor that I don't know why I found him, but I feel so connected to him on so many different levels, is Gaspar Younger. And I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Gaspar, but I'll tell you quickly and briefly. Gaspar Younger was an African prince from Gabon. And you have to keep in mind, whichever version of the story you believe, whether you believe you were shipped here, I'm still waiting to see if you still shipped. Whether you believe we were shipped here or that we were found here. Gaspar came from Africa. The Spanish came and sold him. Because even the ones they stole, they didn't steal slaves, they stole architects, leaders, rulers, doctors, physicians, musicians. And Gaspar was a prince. And if you know anything about war, which I study war, I know a lot about war. In African tradition, the prince rules the army. So you had a bona fide, top-tier, civilized warrior that they stole. That was their mistake. They stole Gaspar and brought him to what we now know as Veracruz, Mexico. And once they stole him, they thought that it was going to be easy sailing like it had been with everyone else. But Gaspar formed a maroon army with the indigenous people already here, and those who came over with him, and they held off the Spanish in Mexico for over 30 years.
Yeah.
For over 30 years.
That's right.
They fought, they understood the land, they got to know the mountains of Mexico, and they would come down and they would raid the Spanish and take everything that the Spanish had. They would take all their food, they would take their rations, they would take their guns, they would take their swords, they would take everything and run it back up to the mountains because they knew that the Spanish had no idea how to travel those mountains. And Gaspar was so successful that in his final war against them, the Spanish finally just conceded, like, we cannot beat this man. And so he said, well, then leave me and my people alone. And this land down here on the ground is now my land for me and my people, and you will leave us alone forever. It was the town of Makeover in Mexico, which is now have been named after him, the town of Yanga. So if you go to Yanga, Mexico, all the people there are melanated. And I felt that connection to him because what I understood was that war is a challenge of patience.
That's right.
That your sunrise may not come in 30 days. It may not come in 30 months. It may come in 30 years. That we all talk about playing chess instead of checkers. And if you've ever played either game, you know which one takes longer. I became infamous throughout not just the U.S., but throughout the world. Apparently my message resonated with people. They built a memorial to me in Belgium. And G2 Germany named me their man of the year. I was trying to because I gave a warning to this country that they were lucky that what we were looking for was equality and not revenge. But I still have not written revenge out. Because when you think about the way in which we have built the sands of every nation as melanated people across the globe, they wouldn't even know how to speak if it wasn't for us. Melanated people are the architects of cool. We teach everybody how to be, how to say, how to live, how to walk, how to talk, how to dance, how to do everything.
Say that. Hear that? Hear that?
Everybody that America has introduced today, she said, put your hands together. Now, I am a wordsmith. That doesn't sound like proper English sentence structure to me. And it doesn't, because it comes from the slang of the 1920s jazz scene. See, our language, we have controlled the etymology of this language so much.
That's right.
That our language is so integrated into everything that everybody across the globe say that we don't even know what it's ours anymore.
Damn. Damn.
And this is the trick.
Damn.
This is the trick. And that is why we have to get educated. I got on a list this week that made me so happy. I was so proud of it. Because I was on a list as one of the most banned writers in the United States. I said, good, that means I'm bothering y'all. Because remember, I told you, the young queen that spoke is love, but I will serve the war.
Okay.
All right. Teacher.
All right.
Because what they don't want you to do is understand how to equip yourself. And you equip yourself with education.
Come on, knowledge.
Because you need to be prepared when you're in the fight. So when they talk up to you about reparations, which we deserve,
Hello.
and they try to convince you that you don't deserve, what they're going to hit you with every time is, well, why should I pay for something that I wasn't a part of? You were not enslaved. You didn't pick one ounce of cotton. Why should I give you money? Maybe you should give me money because during Reconstruction,
Come on now.
they created the Freedmen's Bank, which was the only bank that melanated people could bank at. And then they collapsed the bank and oddly had money to build the American Railroad to the tune of $66 million. Maybe you should give me that money because you want to talk to me about welfare, but you don't want to talk about the fact that between 1926 and 1966, the U.S. government underwrote $200 billion in home lending, and 98% went to white people, 2% went to everybody else. That's black, indigenous, Latinx, everybody else. But you can still pull up the mortgages from that time that says you could not resell these $9,000 suburban built homes that they created with these loans, that the mortgages actually said you could not resell those to black people or Jewish people.
Come on now.
Maybe we should talk about the fact that the U.S. government spends $200 million more annually educating white children than they do all other children. I was called into a meeting in the UK with 2 black MPs wanting to speak with me. And when I explained to them how our education system worked here, they looked at me puzzled and they said, oh, so you have an educational caste system.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you live in a poor neighborhood, because it's based on property tax, you get a poor education. But if you live in a wealthy neighborhood, you get a wealthy education. Now, it's based on property tax, except we still have the issue with them doing appraisals on our homes as less profitable than the appraisals they do on white homes at the same amount in the same neighborhood structure, same crime rate.
Hello.
And then they want to say we have more crime in our neighborhood. Interesting. Seeing as how there are more police officers per capita in our neighborhoods. So if I got 60 cops in your neighborhood and 12 in mine, where am I going to find the most crime? If you keep a people, this is why I talk a lot about equity, because if you keep a people poor, that's right, that's why Blue be trying to educate y'all about crypto and all this stuff. Y'all better start paying attention. Because if I keep you poor, let me give you a quick scenario, and I know I'm almost at time, man. I'm wrap it up. If I keep you poor, when this queen right here, now I'm never this. She's making $9 an hour and she's working 2 jobs. And she lives in a neighborhood where there's no transportation. And she can afford her car, but she can't afford the insurance. And she can't afford the registration. And you have police officers sitting in my neighborhood at night on Friday waiting to make budget for the city. And you get behind her and you run her tag unjustified because she's legally supposed to have a reason to run her tag.
Hello.
But if you legally run her tag unjustified and then you're able to recognize that she doesn't have insurance, then you can put her on probation.
Hello.
Prison and slavery by and if she can't pay the $1,500 ticket and she goes into probation, now, if you haven't been on probation, tell me what she's going to have to do now. No, she's going to have to work it off. She's going to have to do community service. So they use money to create slaves. The 13th Amendment was slavery by a new name. You cannot have anybody work for free except if they're in prison. And right now there are more men in prison than there ever were throughout the entirety of the over 200 years of slavery. So they have the biggest slave pool they've ever had. And some of y'all favorite brands that y'all get on there and capitalize on the Instagram is benefiting from the brutalization of your people.
Okay, teach us.
We're not telling you to buy black because it was a catchy tune. We're telling you to buy black because we have to circulate the dollar in our community so we can be prepared for war. We are in a war. And your comfort is their confidence. You have to remember that when you sleep at night, your body rests, but your spirit lives. Your spirit is a divine being that doesn't need the confinement of time. But what if you convince a whole people to walk in sleep all day, all night? They bastardized the term woke, but there's a reason we first started using it. Wake up! You sleepwalking while they brutalize you, while they indoctrinate your children, while they rape you of your resources. We come from two places, two indigenous places, Africa and the Americas. And let them stop telling you don't come from the Americas.
Yes.
That's also a trick. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. Balance yourself, but ready yourself. Because you cannot have love without war.
Where's the other microphone? I got it. Y'all can give it up for Kimberly Latrice Jones. One more time. See, the other side of the answer you're calling, you know, there's different things that come with that. And you know, her life being threatened. She has a son, a smart, amazing son. And that's my friend. That's my sister. So I feel her pain. Just like we have another legend in the building, Professor Griff. He's downstairs. He's his wife, Soleil, the beautiful Soleil, bodyguard downstairs. But his house was burned down. The sacrifices that people make for you and I, we have to give thanks for that. Ashe?
Yes.
I'll give it up one more time for yourself. All right. So, I am introducing two people at the same time and at the same time. So, at this segment, if anyone would like to do the Tantric Inner Shakti Sounds of Love offering, it will be led by the talented, beautiful, inside and out Soleil. I appreciate you so much for being an example to me of what the true embodiment of a goddess is. She has this course, and the first, I believe it was the first year, you know, I learned so much in the time that I was present and I sat with her, and she's another inspiration in my life, and I'm just so thankful and so grateful for Spirit aligning me with these beautiful, you know, mother figures, sisterhood. Like, I'm just so grateful. Like, you can look, her body is the result of discipline. You can look and see that her time spent in learning, you know, it shows. And you're going to feel it every time I'm in her class or in her space. I met her at a vegan restaurant, and I was supposed to work with Professor Griffin. I met her, and I didn't even see Professor Griffin. I was like, oh my God! And guess what? I was so ashamed. At that time, I lost everything. I was in the studio and I was recording, and I saw my dad laying in the yard, and I just stopped. And long and behold, I called, and my dad was laying in the yard, and he had a heart attack and stroke. And I went home, and then I had my daughter with me. My dad was in the hospital, my mom was in the hospital, and my daughter caught Kawasaki disease. And she had 2 blood transfusions for 6 consecutive months. I was in the hospital. I ended up losing my big, beautiful home. I lost everything. And as soon as I got back, well, everybody's alive, thank God.
Shame.
As soon as I got back to Atlanta, you know, my house, the owner who I was leasing to purchase my home from, he said, I'm going to give you back your money in escrow, and I'm getting a divorce from my wife. I got to move. I'm like, oh my goodness. So he moved my stuff while I was in the hospital while we were doing Rain Glory, which is my daughter's 2nd blood transfusion. So I'm telling you all to say this is a faith walk that I'm doing. I got this vision downstairs in the sauna with Mama Pill, and God says Spirit Makeover. So God is giving me the vision, will give me the provision. Fast forward, I got back, I lost everything, but I still had my family, so family is a luxury of life. And I was embarrassed. I wanted to work with Soleil and Professor Griffin. At the time, I was embarrassed to show them where I lived at, because I was actually living with a friend before I was looking for a house, and they was in the hood. And they pulled up to the hood, y'all. I was like, oh my God, like, oh shoot. I told them, and I was like, they are so down to earth. So assuming is the mother of all lies. Don't assume. Your blessings is right here. You don't know who's watching you, looking at you to bless you. And I was able, I don't know if they ever got any more songs they done together, but I have a song with Professor Griffin and Soleil, 2 legends. Ashe? I was like, oh my God, I'm in the studio. All right, let me act normal. Because they are lyrical beasts. They be saying words I gotta look up. I'm like, their cognitive process is up to par. So today, I want you to put your hands together for one of my spiritual mothers and leaders and sister and friend, and an example of an embodiment of a goddess for Soleil. As she comes and she speaks, give just a few moments. I want the drummers to come, and whoever's going to take the class downstairs. You know, you're going to be moving around, so if you're lazy, you may not want to go. But the drummer's going to issue downstairs. Okay. They're going to do much movement. Okay. So if y'all can put your hands together for the beautiful, wonderful time.
To acknowledge our sister that spoke previously and spoke is the warrior goddess that she is, and I met the sister before, and she mentioned she was speaking on love, and she was speaking on war, and I'll truly say that I am an embodiment of both of those, the goddess of love and goddess of war, because unfortunately we are in chaotic times, and so prayerfully there will be a point where the women won't have to be the warrior because we'll be able to step forward into the relations that remembrance on the inside of who we were freely and in a safe way. So as she mentioned, it is a preparatory, we need to be prepared. So not anti-defending ourselves. I have natural education pie, and also my husband's a firearm instructor, so but I teach my offerings are based on love because it is a time that we are trying to create and remember and awaken this heaven on earth, and we'll do that through the women, through the feminine aspect. And it's our responsibility as the first woman and as the first teacher, the first teacher of children. And it is through our words, through our sound, through the sounds that we make that we will either destroy ourselves or fully ascend to higher levels of consciousness. So the offering that I'll be sharing downstairs is through the lineage that I'm initiated into, part of my blood lineage, and my lineage is going from West Africa to East Africa to South India. And the South Indian, the original people of South India are African Indian people. And so this offering, this tantric offering of sound and using sound to heal emotional blockages, alter DNA. Our DNA has been altered, through past life traumas, through ancestral traumas, through current day traumas. So sound is the tool that we have to alter DNA. And I could go on and on and on in lecture, but I'm not going to do that. The tantric practices are inspirational practices. So downstairs I'll be offering for men and women that would like to participate. There's a tantric inner Shakti sounds of love practice where we use our voices, we'll receive sound, we'll receive the transmission in order to help clear cellular memories, to help begin the process of awakening the goddess of the divinity on the inside so that we can walk as embodiments of love, so that we impart that into our children, into those that come into our energetic space, so that we can begin to change the trajectory of where we're going. Because if we don't, then this earth will end up being destroyed. She doesn't need us. We need her. So that offering will be downstairs in just a few minutes. So thank you so much, America, for answering your calling and for just doing here and filling into your deep feminine essence and honoring my intuition. And loving everyone that comes into your space. So thank you so much. And I look forward to
All right.
And your aunt came and got everything.
Thank God.
Look, you had a purpose. And they were trying to tell you one thing, but Spirit was like, no, you ain't finished.
So,
This lady gonna help
those that are left
you. I remember.
upstairs.
Did America know?
Yes, she knew. Yeah, Mama healed me when I was sick.
What? You don't. She
I bet you did.
No. You didn't hear her story?
I think it was that
Oh my goodness. We met how many years ago?
12 years ago.
On the MARTA. Right? Yes, I am the urban traveling herbalist. Because I did not drive a car. I ain't got no Benz or nothing. I've been on MARTA, baby. Okay? That's where we met. She sat down next to me and we started talking. Wow. And then we got off the train and we talked more. And she told me what
Thank
was
you,
going on.
yours too.
And I gave her my business card. They had sent her home to die. Those are the favorite ones. Because when they tell people like her, oh, we've done everything we can do, check in for 9 months. Go, we put you in hospice. Then they'll let you do whatever you want. Then somebody can walk in with herbs, juices, a shaman. They'll let you do
You
it.
saved my mama.
Listen, you tell that
I
story.
gotta tell that testimony when we come back. Yes.
Anyway, she couldn't even call me. She just told the story.
I think she was downstairs.
She could not call. Her aunt did. So her aunt came to my house, got those tonics right over there, the ones that I just gave you, right? And here she is today. Because she did not accept, you got 6 months, you got 6 months, you're going to die, go. You know, this is what they tell people. You got 6 months to die, to live. Go and handle your affairs. God obviously had a mission for her. And she knew it because, see, they are powerful with the psychology. They can hypnotize you, have you believing it, and a lot of the people who go in the grave is because they accept that. But she didn't. Her aunt was there as a family member to help her because sometimes the family will say, oh, what are you talking about? It's your time to go. The doctor said, you don't want to go see no herbalist. You'll be wasting your money. That's quackery. But I didn't even know when she went up there. She was talking for a while, talking about her mission, how she's a warrior. And then she said, oh yeah, I remember her feeling on the bus, her mom. I'm like, what? On the train. And then I recall. Because that happens all the time. I meet people. One time. They come in, they get, I tell them what to eat. We talk about things other than just the herbs. We talk about the spiritual thing, the emotional thing. They go, and I see them 15 years later. And they're still alive, totally transformed. So this is serious stuff. The herbs are truly, that's why I had Kamani read that part in the Bible about Genesis 1:29, because that is real stuff. That will bring you from the dead. That's like Lazarus rising from the dead. When you obey those words, you take those herbs, you know that. How can we think that intelligence that has created this body and our spirit is living in, when you study anatomy and physiology, in a minute, am I going back up? Okay.
I'll wait to give you the microphone.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know.
Okay. All right. So, if everyone that's in the back, if you can come up, please.
I don't know. I think his friend, he probably went somewhere with his friend.
If y'all can come up a little bit closer. And if you have your phones, if you're not following Mama Pill, I want you to pull your phones out. And it's Green Leaf Herbs on Instagram. I want you to follow Mama Pill. Green Leaf Herbs. And the website is greenleaf-herbs.com.
We do have the products here today. We have the
wasn't. I literally just watched it. I just watched
Give
it.
me 1 second, everybody. Give me
It should slip back
5 minutes. Maybe not even. Give me 1 minute. 1 second.
I'm trying to remember where I saw this from. I can't remember though. It's just a long time ago.
Didn't you just have a lady come up to you talking to you?
Somebody else. She had white hair.
I want to play that guitar.
To ask him.